Right, hello and welcome to episode 6 of the Dundee Sole podcast. This podcast started again with conversations about football strips where with Steve, this is how the origins of this podcast started again. So with Alba taking on the Italian league contract, and it's back on TV after how many years?
A lot of years now. I mean, I was back on satellite, but I don't think it's been back on normal TV since sort of Channel 4, Channel 5 sort of years. So that's the first time it's been brought back, and thankfully it's been brought back because it's a good product.
Well, it's been brought back in Scotland because there's a lot of Scottish players in the Italian league.
That's it.
So yeah, we're going to do an Italian special, 80s classic kits. So yeah, we'll just get started. How would we start this, Steve? We'll see what a dominant force Italian football was in the 80s and 90s.
Oh, it was a dominant force in sort of through the 60s, 70s, 80s. Even although the English teams, Liverpool and all them came in, Italian clubs were always there.
Italian clubs still dominated. I think for like 83 till about 98, it was mostly Italian clubs that won that, being Juve and AC.
Yeah, but even going back to 61, I mean, Rangers got to the final of the Cup Winners' Cup and they played Fiorentina over two legs, and Fiorentina beat them. So Italian clubs, and then it was AC. Obviously, Dundee played them in '63 semi-final, and that was the first time that I think they won it. Was '63 at Wembley. So after they beat us, so it was, and then after that, they've always been there or thereabouts, and then going right through all these Juventus and all these teams, and then we'll get to the sort of 80s, and
a very influential time was the 80s.
Yeah.
You say that the best era for strips, or the best strips are Italian 80s strips. Do you not?
80s and 90s.
80s and 90s.
80s and 90s. I mean, it goes from the woolly ones into the silk ones and that, and they're all iconic because they've all got their own makers that you've got the Lotto there, but I mean NR and Mech Sport and all these sort of companies. And
did you bring any Juve strips for you? Because obviously Juve had Kappa for years.
No, I've got some. We'll deal with them at another date. But the football though, I mean, going right through Italian clubs, Inter Milan. I mean, I'm forgetting about Inter Milan. I mean, Inter Milan beat Liverpool in '64. I think it was the semi-final of the European Cup, and I'm sure Shankly was the manager, and he got in touch with the Dundee Shankly to see what was going to happen, because there was controversial things happened in the Dundee semi-final, and Liverpool, this was their first year in Europe, '64, so he needed to know what was going on, so he got in touch with his brother Bob Shankly, and he told him what was happening, and I think Liverpool got conned out of it as well in '64, so I mean the Italians were at it even at that point, early doors, and then
you probably need to mention the forgotten team to tell that story about how Dundee got so far in the European Cup.
Well, yeah,
I mean, cheated out by Italians.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, it's kind of like
if that team had done that, that was the furthest any British team had got at the time.
No, Hibs got to the semi-final in 57, I think. They got to the semi-final and they played Stade Reims. Who you might have not heard of them, but they were a very, very famous French team at the time. In Stade Reims, I think they got to two European Cup finals, but
they won it.
No, they got beat from the famous Real Madrid team. It was just beating everybody at that point. But Stade Reims played Hibs, and they knocked Hibs out, and that was a great Hibs team that got to that semi-final. With Gordon Smith in it, one of the famous five, and Gordon Smith then.
Were you alive at this point?
No. But Gordon Smith then he played in Europe, with Hibs, European Cup. Then went to Hearts, played in the European Cup with Hearts. Then signed for Dundee, then played in the European Cup with Dundee. And that's never, I mean, it's hard enough now for Celtic or Rangers players to play for Celtic or Rangers in the Champions League European Cup.
You have to do it with 3 Scottish teams.
But he's done it with 3 Scottish teams, and that'll never ever happen again. So yeah. So I mean,
a wee bit of history there.
Yeah.
Right. So what's the earliest strip we've got here? Because I know that's 90s, that's late 80s.
Yeah.
So one of these two.
So it's the AC Milan, NR, 1982-83.
You said that was match war now.
Yes, it's a match worn one. So this is 82-83 match worn, but the year before this, the season before, they were relegated. Now
that couldn't have happened too much in their history.
No, but AC Milan went through. There was Italian football went through controversial periods, and I can't remember whether it was just a straight relegation or it was one of their financial irregularities.
Oh, there was a scandal in the 80s, was there?
Yeah, there was a scandal. There was a scandal in. You're thinking. I think you're thinking of the scandal in the 90s. There was one then.
No. There was a scandal in the 80s in Italian football where they changed how referees were picked for the games.
Yeah, there was.
So it was randomly picked on the day.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're actually right. But they were relegated, and they had Joe Jordan, obviously famous Scottish name. He was playing for them, and they won the Serie B quite easily. The year they went down, which you would obviously you think they would, and they only lost 3 games in the season.
Serie B, they only lost 3 games.
Yeah, but they had a young 22-year-old centre half called Franco Baresi, which amazing player. I mean, he was. You
I'm
said,
too young to remember him. Obviously, I've only heard about him.
I don't know. I think you possibly would have seen him playing because he played. I can't admit he played right through. He played for years. Well, he's 50. I think he was the captain. He was made the captain at 22, and he was the captain for 15 years from 22 till his retirement, I think. But and top goal scorer was Joe Jordan, and they signed him from Man United. So it just shows at the time Italian football was on top. I mean, you're looking at English football now.
Oh no, I was saying the Italian football was on top. You could probably got an argument until that AC team died. You know, it played Liverpool 2005 and that.
Yeah.
Kaká, all them. When that team sort of dismantled. Because the last time that Italian team won the Champions League was 2010, Mourinho's treble.
Yeah.
Inter.
Yeah.
They've not won it since.
I mean that Inter team's really, they did quite. They should have won it 2 or 3 years ago.
Juve have had a couple of goals as well, but I think they came up against Real Madrid both times and lost.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, Italian football was on top for years, and like they said, the demise of Italian football started when the Premier League started in like 92, 93.
Well,
obviously the money deals and TV and everything else. So we were speaking about it before.
Yeah.
The Italian league, apart from the bigger teams, their attendance records just beat the Championship, the English Championship, which is pretty mad to think about it.
Yeah.
Considering what I used to watch on Channel 4 and see they packed out stadiums every Sunday.
Well, the Italian football was always, it was always quite a fascinating. When I was a kid, it was quite a fascinating league, and I liked.
Well, had the best players in the world at this point. So early 80s, like Platini, he was there, was he? Did he not get like the player?
He was
the Ballon d'Or in '84.
Yeah, he was. That Juventus team was unbelievable. Just unbelievable, and again, fantastic kit. Kappa, as you've said, just a fantastic.
There's loads, so many cool Juve kits for the 80s.
Yeah, and every strip was different. That's when I was a kid. What we had, there was lots of good kits in Britain and Scotland and all the rest of it. But you saw these Italian kits and you're like, what's this? You know what I mean? You didn't know what Kappa was at that time. You were just in awe of them, you know. But so that Juventus team was unbelievable. And then AC Milan team, but AC Milan, they didn't just have Joe Jordan. Mark Haitley was playing for them as well. He come across, he was playing for them, and then through the 80s, you had Graham Souness playing for Sampdoria.
Yeah.
Quality Scottish players playing there. And it's turned around, and that's why Alba, as they call it, Alba. But they've took it on because we've got these players playing across there, and they're doing well for these Italian teams.
Yeah, top McTominay for one,
and the boy from Motherwell paid $5 million for him.
There's a good few players in Italian football now. I think it's good to see it back on TV. I used to love watching it on Channel 4.
But I think what the culmination of it going on Channel 4 and stuff was the build up to we went through the World Cup in '86 and we'd seen
Maradona's player of the tournament, who was in Italian football at that time. Yeah.
So '82, going through the World Cups up to then, like the '82 World Cup, Italy win the World Cup in 1982. They beat West Germany in the final, and then a great Italian team at that time as well, fantastic Italian team, and then we'll go across to Mexico, and the Italians. I think Maradona. I'm sure a Maradona led Argentina at that point knocked them out as well. I think so.
But you know what's funny in that league, you had like Maradona. We mentioned Platini and stuff, and obviously you speak quite a lot about the Holland team in '88 and that. The three stars of that team, they were all in it. They were all in AC.
Inter. And there was Hulot was with AC Milan, and then you had Mateus was playing for Inter, and there was three Germans. There was three Germans playing for Inter.
Oh no, I'm on about the Dutch because
the Dutch ones they went to AC. That was the AC ones. Yes,
yeah, they were all AC.
Yeah, you're right.
Rijkaard was there as well, was he?
Yeah.
Yeah, because right enough, who was the three Germans that were at Inter?
It was.
I'm not born at this point.
It was Matthias, Lothar Matthias, and it'll come to me. The guy who scored in the final.
Is it this strip they're pictured then?
No, it's later. That's the one where Karl-Heinz Rummenigge was, but they had another. They were taking Germans even before then, so that's '84. So Karl-Heinz Rummenigge was the famous German that played in that one. But as you say, that at that point, the Dutch all go AC Milan, the Germans all go Inter Milan. A bit strange, but that's what happens through that time. So I guess.
How were you watching it in the 80s? Like, how were you watching the because obviously all the star players are there, like the world star players of the 80s are there. So how were you watching it? To
be fair, I was trading football videotapes at that point. There was World Soccer magazine. It still goes. I think it still goes actually. But World Soccer magazine used to do classified adverts, and you would go on and you would do swaps of football memorabilia and merchandise, and the boys would swap games, or the games on VHS or Betamax. So I remember getting to the first year Napoli won the Serie A.
So was that 89?
Yeah, I was an Irish guy and just outside Dublin, and I was swapping these matches with him, and they had, for some reason, they had satellite TV. We didn't have satellite TV. I hadn't started. Sky hadn't really started in Britain. It started in Ireland, and he was sending me the videotapes of Napoli winning the league, and this was the first time you saw Italian games on little snippets of games on St. Greavesy and all these things, and sometimes it was hard to come by. European football was really hard to come by on the television, but it started through tape swapping and all the rest of it. You got to see it, and then Sky started, but there was still no. You're still not getting. There was no football Italia or any of that had started by that point. And I think the culmination comes when
the Premier League starts.
I think when the World Cup. You're thinking, well,
the World Cup 90.
The problem being in the middle of the 80s, 85. There's a big thing happening. It's called Heysel.
Yeah.
And Liverpool plays Juventus in the final, and that is the great Juventus team and a great Liverpool team, and everybody knows what happens on the terraces. Yeah,
35 years players die, and English clubs are banned
and
from
they're
Europe
banned from
for
Europe.
6 years.
So then it's just there's no any English teams in it at all, and it's a lot of foreign and then Dundee United do quite well. In the
a lot of English players headed to Scotland.
Yeah, they did. They did.
Terry Butcher was captain of England. He was playing for Rangers, was he?
And English players went to David Platinover, and they'll go to Bari in Italy. So a load of them go away across to Italy because they can't play European football. And as you said, the English ones come up to play for Rangers, play for Celtic, and play in Europe.
Mm-hmm.
Then the big thing is obviously World Cup '90.
Yeah, so
Italy.
A lot of people say this is where it changes for football. It's the greatest tournament that ever happened.
See, the thing is, right? It's mythically.
It's not the most watched tournament.
It's a myth. It's mythically a massive tournament. Everybody goes on it, and it's all rose tinted spectacles and all the rest of it when it comes to Italy. But I went to watch Scotland, and I spent 2 weeks there, and it was great. Don't get me wrong, it was absolutely great. But the football was getting served up by certain teams wasn't great, and the final was one of the most awful finals that was ever played. Argentina and West Germany, and it was
the controversial semi-final before that was Argentina-Italy. That cemented Maradona's exit from Italian football.
Yeah, well, but the thing is, that Argentina team are champions, and the first game they come up against Cameroon in the Inter Stadium, San Siro, and there's some tasty tackles getting put in that game, and Cameroon take the lead and actually beat Argentina. But there's a young ex-Dundee player gets absolutely savaged by the Cameroon players about 3 or 4 times. There's an amazing scene, Claudio Caniggia running down the wing, getting volleyed and kicked and punted, and he's upside down.
He tries to kick the ball over him and gets his legs swiped.
Yeah, so they get beat in that first match. I remember watching it. I was going to be leaving the next day to go to the World Cup. So I travelled to that World Cup, and as I say, it was fantastic. I stayed in a place called Lido di Jesolo, and travelled across the Turin and travelled to Genoa, and it was just it was a great experience.
My uncle and that were there, my Uncle George. I'm sure they stayed in France or something.
Well, you're right. There was a lot of guys staying up in the Alps, and because it wasn't an easy place to get to because Turin and Genoa are right north.
Yeah.
So you were close to these borders. So a lot of guys were staying in for cost.
I'm sure they said they got on the train and stuff and just hopped over to go to the games.
Well, we were about a 9-hour bus trip for each game.
9 hours?
9 hours, yeah. So you're just going to
the segregated fans did that. Like, the English fans were on an island.
They put the English fans on. Put the English fans on the island to
keep them
because of the hooliganism it had been, and I don't think the English clubs were back in Europe. I think they were a way to get back.
And they were trying to keep the hooliganism down to an absolute, like, it was Margaret Thatcher's Britain at this point. And who was that wee sports minister? That wee arsehole that you always see.
Yeah. He didn't have a clue about it.
He won't. And in Italia 90, he's there and everything. Like, there's loads of like footage of him kicking about with the police and whatever else.
Oh yeah, no, but I think
the famous comment. What was it again? I wouldn't call them animals. What was it? They're worse than animals or whatever it was.
But the thing was though, that they put them all in. A lot of the guys, they're putting them in like really bad, treating them. A lot of English guys got treated badly. Then they're on campsites that weren't fit for purpose and all that, and absolutely roasting. And
well, this was in the group stages, because when they got out of the group stages, then they went to the mainland.
Yeah. But to be fair, I can't.
There's no point asking if Scotland got out of the group stages.
Yeah. Listen, it's the usual. That for me, the usual with Scotland. They obviously go across and think we're going to beat Costa Rica and think Costa Rica are going to be easy. I think they were South American champions at the time, and we just like, who's this mob? And then we get beaten. We wonder why. And then there was a famous night in Genoa, and we beat Sweden, and it was just a great night. And then we played Brazil the next in Turin. And
we always get Brazil.
Always got Brazil. So we played them in Turin, and we only got beat 1-0. And it was another hard luck story for Scotland. They could have and should have done better. But then Argentina in the same stadium played Brazil, and very, very fit and ready Diego Maradona plays a pass to the ex-Dundee player Caniggia, and he scores the winner against Brazil and puts them through. So Argentina are sneaking through this tournament, and so are Italy. And now,
well, in one semi-final you've got Argentina and Italy.
Yeah.
This is the famous final when they're booing the national anthem, and he's like standing there, puta, going mental.
Yeah, but
and the opposite final, you've got semi-final. Sorry, you've got England and West Germany. And this is the famous game where Gaza gets the double yellow card, starts crying. Remember Lineker's.
Well, that's what I'm saying about that match. If you watch that match, it's in Turin, and that match is, I don't even think it's half full. You were able to buy tickets on the day for these. I mean, you look at how difficult it is now going to America, and it was. I remember. I think I've still got all the documentation, and I think for that World Cup, I think I was all in, including tickets for each game, was 550, 60 quid. Now that was 1990, so it was still a bit of money. But that was all accommodation, all the travel, bus, everything from the airport.
Well, I think for reference, what are you for a World Cup final ticket now? $2,500 starting price.
$2,500 starting and $7,000 top price. So yeah, it just shows you. So I mean, it's not. I mean, they've priced everybody out at it. It doesn't sound to me like it's a lot of fun.
It's not for the working class anymore.
Yeah, no, and you're looking at these matches are thousands and thousands of miles apart. I mean, we went Genoa and Turin were actually 9 hours, but it was only 9 hours. You went 9 hours and you come back. Where are you going to be staying? I mean, these places you've got to fly. I mean, there's just one game in Boston. I mean, that's the north. That's going towards Canada, and then other games in Miami. I mean, it just seems to me just to be like they're just to be awkward.
Yeah, they don't give a fuck. But going on about this World Cup, right? Because this is really sad, and this is the strip that I want to talk about because, like I've said before, I've ordered this and it's no came, and I'm raging about that because I want that top. That to me is iconic. 80s Italian football, like Maradona, the Mars top, the same with the won the league. Is there another version of that top where it's just a white sponsor?
Yeah.
I've seen photos one with that. Obviously, that's the one I've seen most. But there's one where it's just all white Mars.
Yeah, there's quite a few different ones. There's I think there's ones with red as well. There's all different ones.
There's a red version of that strap.
Yeah, but
I got it online because I seen a picture of Diego wearing it, so I was like, yeah, no cool.
Yeah, I mean it changes a lot, but I mean I think it was another. I think they also had another famous sponsor one. I think I've got it. I think it's a pasta company as well. So pasta company did but they didn't at that point. I mean, you're not talking about clubs changing strips every year. You're talking that maybe they just change slight things with a strip, you know. But
they're taking inspiration for this now. Have you seen that Italy strip that dropped last week? That's the best strip I've seen in a long time.
I've not actually seen it.
You know,
no,
tiny little trefoil and just the Italia badge, blue, and it's like just a cotton or a bio wool, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
It's the nicest top that's going to be in the World Cup, hands down.
Yeah, well, Adidas are. I mean, no, you know what? I think it did. It's a some kind of centenary, well, not a centenary, some kind of
it's like
celebration
it's
of
simple as it could be, but it's honestly it's the coolest stuff
I think I've seen
in a long time.
It looks like the one from about the late 80s or something, 70s or something like that.
It's got a bit of collar on it.
Yeah,
it's exactly like a roll neck collar. Sorry, it's exactly like that with the arms and stuff.
It might be like the one in the one the '78 World Cup, which was really plain.
I'll show you a photo after.
Definitely. Definitely, but no, this one here's just. I mean,
what would you say is your favourite? Because obviously there's loads. Me, we were speaking about because I thought you were bringing the strip. What the one in '85, Hera Verona.
Hellas Verona,
right? Because the Adidas strip they wore in that is so cool. Their colours were just blue and yellow, weren't they?
Yeah, that was. But as you said earlier on, that's like the Leicester story.
Yeah, it's like the Leicester story.
They've won it and never won it again. But you're right. But that team had a lot of. I forget the manager's name, but he was meant to be a tactician genius.
Yeah, the team wasn't packed with stars.
I think there was Swedish guys at that point.
There was a German guy. I'm going to remember. I watched the documentary about that.
Yeah, well, they won that in '85, which was like totally nobody expected them to.
Like we said, like all the best players, all the star players in the world were playing in the Italian league at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. But again, as you said earlier, it wasn't really easy to see the stuff. So. This is why I was getting these football videotapes. This was the strip I remember. I just remembered. I can't remember what the last game was that they played, but the celebration was like what you see now with all the flares and the smoke going off, and nobody'd ever seen that before here. And it was all the ticker tape and just nuts. And but the thing is, Maradona, as you said, well, the actual movie about him. That guy never had an easy time when he went to. Naples, and but you remember going back to the World Cup when they played Italy. Did he not ask the Italians, the Napoli fans, not to support Italy but to support Argentina?
I think they went with that or something, did they? That
was quite controversial.
Yeah. What was it he said they called them? I can't remember, but yeah, I forgot about that part. You're right. Did what do you call them again?
The Neapolitans.
Yeah, that shit. Yeah. Did they not support Argentina against that?
Well, I don't know. He asked them to, but you can't really see them. You can't really see them.
Heavily linked with the mafia. After this, like the club threw him under the bus because the public opinion had went against him, and then they started to show his drug problems and everything else after that. And he never played again.
But again, he should have been looked at. The club never looked after him. I mean, they let him. I mean, look what happened. He couldn't go out at night, and he ended up going about the Cosa Nostra or whatever
they're
called.
Later years, remember, because he was meant to be coming to Dens, and the only reason he didn't come to Dens is because when he flew to Italy, there was problems with tax because the club.
Yeah, well, Caniggia was his best pal. And
he was getting $250,000 to come to Dens, I heard, just to play that one game.
I know, but I would have been good to see him. But I mean, I don't think he was never very fit at that point.
Yeah,
but,
just to get him play on Dens.
Yeah, I know. But well, as I say, Caniggia was his pal, and Caniggia obviously, until he signed for Dundee when he was at Atlanta, he had problems with the drugs as well. And you've got to kind of think that the two of them were together. Were instigators of their own downfall for a while, you know. But no, that's a amazing strip. Everybody knows that one. I mean, doesn't matter whether you're born or not, you'll know the story with them, because I mean Napoli were a nothing team until he came in.
So were AC still the driving force in Italian football?
Juventus.
Juve.
Yeah, Juventus were all the mafia money went on Juventus every year, because he was targeted. There was one game in particular. I remember the one game in particular. He was fouled that badly that he was carried off the park, and he came back on, and they fouled him again, chopped him again, and he went off again. I think he went off 3 times. Now Maradona had massive problems with his knees, and he had some kind of real problems, and he had to get his knees opened up every 6 months, and the knees were scraped of the build up of arthritis, I think it was, in his knees. I think that they scraped them. It was something horrible that he had to get done because he was so badly beaten up, and during that time, going back to when he played for Barcelona, he got his leg absolutely chopped by the guy playing for Atletico Bilbao.
Was that the last game he played? I went nuts.
Yeah, that was the game before. Then he came back and the fight was, but his legs must have been absolutely chopped. I mean, going to the World Cup game in '86 against England, they're all going about him being the wee cheat and all the rest of it. But if you actually see the tackles that the England players were putting on him, they were absolutely, that was like assault. So to be fair, he got his own back. He was assaulted for the whole game. That was what happened to him. His legs were just complete, and if you see him with his socks down, they didn't wear shin guards.
Yeah,
his legs must have been absolutely mashed. And then by the time he's playing for the year they won it, they reckon that the mafia had that much money on Juventus to win the league. They sent boys out, they paid players out to go and get him, and that's what they did. They assaulted him for 90 minutes in each game.
See, well, the scandals, Juve are always involved with the scandals, are they?
Yeah, absolutely.
Always involved with them,
yeah. All the AC Milan.
That 80 scandals on about. I can't remember the full details, but Juve were heavily involved with it.
It was about tampering with referees. It was certainly about that. Yeah.
Obviously, in 2006, that was right after they won the World Cup. That that other scandal dropped, was it? It was right after that.
Yeah, that's it.
So anyway, we get like Italian 90, and then
we'll check that. We'll go back just before we go back to that 84. So that's an 84 Mech Sport Inter Missouri, and I think I've said to you before, I think that's probably, I would say that's possibly or probably my favourite strip of all time. Yeah. I just think it's unbelievable. Look, there's the badge on the arm. There's the Inter badges on the arm.
It's a cool strip. Yeah. I don't think it beats that.
Yeah, that's earlier. You see, that's earlier than that. So, Mech Sport were known for. I think there was usual. I think right here. Again, I think it was an underwear company, and Yeah, so I think that was their most famous one, Rummenigge and all the rest of it. And the ball you've just picked up is the actual ball for the 1990 World Cup.
Yeah, it's a lot of people's favourite balls.
Yeah, well, the tango, all the tangos were amazing. And
this is more detailed. Well, obviously, that was the vibe in the 90s. But yeah, it's pretty cool to see this on display. You don't really see these every day at all, do you?
No, the tangos are definitely my favourite from the time. But I think they went through different. I mean, that's a synthetic one. The last in '82, the tango was '78, and then '82, and '82 was the last of the leather. They actually made them in leather.
Do you know he won in '76 as well?
'76 was the European Championship, and that was the last of the. I think that was the Telstar. That was the one with the black and white.
Yeah.
And the reason they were brought in for that, the black and white, was so you could see easier on the television.
Yeah. You could delve into stories about Adi with FIFA from the 70s. It's actually quite mad interesting. Adi's son, was what I said, Ruder there, that was his brother, Horst Dassler, made a deal in the 60s with FIFA. They made a company, I can't remember what they called it, for the distribution rights of all football. So Adi were getting paid for every single football match you've seen on the TV in the 60s and 70s. And that is why Adi was so heavily in with the World Cup and everything else. That's why all these balls that we're talking about are like these iconic balls, because they had their foot in the door so early on. Football boots as well. Their only rival at that time was Puma, really. Yeah,
but I mean, it was obviously '54 was when the first Adi boots got made, was brought into the team.
The famous story when he changed the studs at half time.
But the thing was, we Adidas. I mean, how?
I think that's one of the shrewdest bits of business and history that I've heard of, because obviously I've not told the story detail for detail, but yeah, you seen that coming. And when you think about the rights of football nowadays and how much that'll be worth, and he was doing deals for that in the 60s, it's just nuts. But that's what made Adi so iconic through sport, because all you've seen.
You're saying about that deal, and then the stupidly, Michael Jordan was an Adi man. He loved Adidas, and then they wouldn't pay him enough money, so he ended up. And everybody knows what happens.
100,000 offered them, yeah.
Yeah, but what's happened with? We're going to now the Germany kit this year. It's absolutely fantastic, and it's the last Adidas German kit because they've got a Nike.
Oof! I don't know that.
You don't know that? No, that's it. Nike have taken them. I mean, what happened? How could Adidas lose Germany? So get it all after all these.
I'll hit investigate that. I didn't know about that, but yeah,
it's the last one.
That's a kick in the balls.
And it's an absolute beauty of a strip. And it's like they've said, right, okay, there you go. Nike have got to come out with something even better, but I can't see it. I mean, Nike have had good strips over the years, some, but they've never been as good as Adidas.
The most famous Nike strip I can really think is the Nigeria strip. Really. I mean, I'm not saying it's the only one, but I would say that was probably the most iconic one.
The one with the Nigerian, the one with the wings.
Every year they do some sort of Nike Nigeria strips are the one to look out for, essentially, I would say. But I can't really think of any other ones.
Yeah, you're right. And the Brazil, some of the Brazil.
I don't get wrong. I love that Brazil. 90s, 98 Ronaldo. Like, that's always going to be my favourite Brazil strip. I think it's cool as fuck.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Sidetracked anyway.
Yeah.
So we'll get to finish with the World Cup.
Yeah.
So are Juve still on top of it at that point then?
Well, for the World Cup, it's Napoli at this point. They won it 2 years on the trot, and they won it 2 years on the trot, I think, or twice. Well, they won it twice in a space of very quickly. They win the UEFA Cup in between as well. I think they won the Cup a couple of times, I'm sure, but they haven't. I mean, the McTominay Napoli winning the league, that's the first time they've won it since then. So,
I think it was did they win it in '87 and they won it in '89. I think that's what it was.
Yeah. And then obviously he falls out with Maradona, falls out with them and ends up at Seville.
Yeah.
So and then it takes him a wee while to get back on top, and then he gets his drug problems in America.
You've got obviously before, like, you've got like your Batistuta and everything coming in. Who were like the main players about it? Well, just after Maradona left in the league, because the league I remember, you're talking like Zidane, Ronaldo, the real Ronaldo, like Nedved. I don't really heard of him for years, but that's the Italian league I remember.
Yeah.
So this is just what I'm missing, if you know what I mean. I've only been about like 2-3 at this point.
Yeah, exactly. Well, then you're. I think I can't remember the year that Channel 4 take on. I can't remember. I can't remember the year, but Channel 4 bring on Football Italia.
Go
Lazio. Yeah. So Go Lazio was the Saturday programme.
Yeah.
And the guy was really good on it. I mean, some of the funny stories, but that obviously culminated with Gaza going to Lazio.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the only reason that programme comes on, I think, because he goes there. And you've got unbelievable teams, unbelievable kits, unbelievable players going there. And just crazy players, and we get onto Fiorentina, and we get onto one of the 92-93, so we got onto one of the most controversial strips of all time.
We've spoken about this before, but yeah, for anybody who didn't see that, they played in this strip, what was it, 3 times before it got banned?
I think
probably,
it was.
would you say it's one of the most iconic strips in the collecting world to get your hands on?
Yeah, I think it's. Yeah, I think we've said it before. Well, that's a match worn one.
You've got a real one, match worn that was Brian Lovedrap, and that is a replica.
Replica, yeah, and they're slightly different. The badge on the match worn ones all embroidered and stuff, and the logo signs are through it, and on the other.
You mentioned this on 20 odd minutes. We crashed because he asked the 7-Up sponsor, did he?
Yeah. So that's the famous one, but it's got like it's a simple enough strip. They bring it in, simple enough strip.
I wouldn't say it's simple enough. It's going like, you're going with the like 90s designs, like templates were heavy. Like at this point, you've got mad patterns and everything like this, and they've tried to sneak in. Somebody's tried to sneak in.
No, I don't think. See, there's a bit of a story, right? So they bring it in, and they wear it about 4 or 5 times, and they called it a geometric pattern, right? But anybody in there that doesn't see that doesn't look like a swastika.
To be fair, right, the boy that I had on last week, he would have been the person asked, because he knows all about those sort of patterns. Swastikas.
Yeah.
I think it would go under a geometric.
Yeah, but we've said it. The actual swastika sign is a backward Hindi sign, and Hitler took it and turned it around. But that's the actual. It's both on that. But the problem they had was they wore it and it got noticed. But the thing is, you're talking about an area of Italy, right? Florence. That was.
Is it a racist area?
No, not at all. But during the war, as Uncle Albert would say, as one of the founding members of the stadium, the Fiorentina Stadium, is called I think it's the stadium's named after Giovanni Berta, right? Who was a fascist militant.
So he's part of Mussolini's.
Before the war, and one of the Fiorentina owners at the time, he was one of the founding members of the Mussolini's National Fascist Party. So they've have
fascist elements.
They have got So
who's Fiorentina's derby?
Fiorentina's derby. Is it no? I can't remember who's. They don't actually. I don't think they've got a derby as such.
Has it got a rivalry with Lazio or no?
All these teams have got political rivalries with each other. So they're either if they're right wing or left wing. Some are fully left wing, some are fully right wing. Mm-hmm. The Inter AC, as people didn't believe it, was a very friendly derby. They didn't really have loads of problems in Milan with that derby, but
they share a stadium and everything, do they?
Yeah, but they don't have a lot of problems. But
Lazio Roma, that's that's
a
heated derby, is it?
But I think Lazio and Roma are both right wing. I think they've got problems with some of the northern teams.
I don't know why I've got in my head that they've got a rivalry with Lazio.
No, they will do. I mean, but I'm not completely I'm not completely sure whether Fiorentina are a right wing supporters group, but definitely Lazio are, and I'm sure Roma are as well. But they've all got these links, and obviously the ultras, the Italian ultras. It was at the ultras that we see now, the ones that we've got in Scotland. Certainly aren't anything like what the ultras are in Italy. And never were.
A sound imitation, yeah. And you want to talk about ultras, man? There's thousands of stories of ultras going to their teams and when they're no happy and going to the training ground and.
The fan groups there.
You're saying that the derby isn't the Milan derby's no too tasty. Was that no where they chucked the scooter over? Was that no that derby? Was that no in the San Siro when the moped got through down the stands?
I don't think that was a derby. I don't. It was Inter, but I'm not sure whether that was a derby or not. But they took I remember they managed
that
to
was
get
the San Siro for
they took the scooter up to the top and threw it off. Yeah,
creative.
Yeah, well, definitely.
I don't think you get a scooter into a stadium.
I know. Well, I think the ultras started in the sort of 50s, 60s, and it was like they just wanted extreme fan groups, and it's gone. Yeah. And I mean, they're all political, and so it could either be not so much. That's not. I think it's.
I've never really been on board that whole ultra vibe. Like, to me, the casual culture of the 80s and 90s in Britain, it's obviously it's about the clothes. It's about it's just about lads, is it? Like companions, like.
Oh yeah. So it's more companionship and more clothes.
Camaraderie goes with it. Like, it's just, I was heavily into with clothes to football. You know what I mean? It was just about being a bit of a lad. Whereas, it gets a bit.
The thing is, though, with the Italian ultras, with all the political aspects and them getting themselves involved with the club and forcing change and all the rest of it, then you've got Argentina. They've got Barra Brava, and they're the same. But
what was the ultra that killed the mafia member? Remember that? He shot him in the car.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, don't know what the name. Yeah, I don't know what the name was, but yeah, it was.
They're obviously that big of groups that they're not scared of the mafia. You know what I mean? So
no, definitely not. But
they're a force in that way.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's really, as you say, the casual phenomenon here with clothes and friends. It's not going down the line of killing each other in cars. You know.
Yeah, that's what I mean. But it was I can't remember the story, but it was a head ultra of. I want to say Lazio. No, where are the mafia are based more like that way or another.
I thought it was Inter, was it not? Was it not something?
Maybe.
I'm sure something to do with Inter.
I was a head ultra in a car with a head mafia member, and the boy didn't get out. Not both of them came out alive.
That's it. Yeah, you're right.
It was pretty mad.
It's pretty extreme, yeah. But no, so you've got the ultras there, and you've got the Barra Brava in Argentina who are linked to Italy, and they've got the same kind of ideas, and it's all about selling merchandise and cannabis and food and
they take over
drink.
They take over everything about the stadiums, don't they?
Yeah,
they take over absolutely everything.
Yeah, and then
so merchandise, like you say, to food, to drink, to travel, to tour, and anything about the stadium they control.
And there's got to be corruption going on between them and referees and stuff as well. There's got to be all that. It's went on for years.
I think this is why people don't watch Italian football anymore. I think this is why it died like the way it does. And like I said, like the tendencies are just above the championship in England. That's like fucking nuts, considering it was like the world force in the 80s and 90s.
Yeah, and that's obviously I mean, as you've said, when the English football, the Premiership comes in 1993,
they couldn't compete with the money that was coming in eventually, and that sort of killed it.
So all the best players were then coming to England.
Well, obviously, we spoke about like you couldn't watch it in the 80s, so like English football in the 80s was obviously looking at Italian football and like how we're going to take it to this level, and the Premier League done that.
Well, obviously the satellite companies coming in, Sky, and paying all the money. But Italy's got Sky as well, but they obviously don't pay the money for the deal.
I think it was the Sky deal this year for English football was 1.6 billion, and I think Italian football worldwide was like 600 million something.
So that's how can anybody?
What they failed to do apparently was what English football done really well was to branch out like in Africa, Asia, all that. Because like you don't really see them as like big Italian fans, but you've got like Liverpool fans, Man United fans, Chelsea fans, Arsenal fans, all over the world.
Yeah, I mean Man United. I'm sure I read somewhere that it's millions, even in their Singapore shop, they make millions, maybe tens of millions a year, just off of their shop there. So How can anybody compete with? They can't compete.
Yeah, the birth
That
of the
kind of-
the birth of the Premier League was an absolute monster. And yeah,
But it's the English Premiership. Most matches still don't, atmosphere-wise, don't match up to anywhere, any of the best in Europe. They don't match up because the grounds are so sanitised, except for maybe Crystal Palace. In the Premier League, we've got an ultra group that's making noise, but they don't. This doesn't. The fan. I mean, there's a lot of tourists now in England, and it's just not what it was in Italy when you're watching these games with the big flags and the flares going off and the smoke bombs, and there's no atmosphere like that in England. The product, I mean, the players are great and all the rest of it.
it's like what we said at the start. It's like they're taking it away from the working class. But yeah, you're right. There is no atmosphere in English football like that.
No, definitely not. Maybe down the leagues. I mean, yeah, you see all these.
I found the Championship more interesting this year. I'm more invested in watching what Millwall are up to be honest with you.
Oh, yeah.
I want to see them go up and see what happens with Wrexham.
Yeah, Wrexham's a great story.
Yeah.
It's right worth watching.
So I think I'm well more interested in what's going on with that than I am the Premier League. I'm well more interested in Scottish football this year as well.
Yeah,
Which
I mean,
is like the first time in years.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is they're going about Scotland being like a 2-horse race. Obviously, it's a 4-horse race at the moment.
Yeah,
this year.
Motherwell a dark horse, man.
Yeah, but I mean, the thing is, down in England, it's always been the same teams.
The Premier League got started by the big teams. So what was it again? It was Arsenal, Tottenham, Liverpool, Man United.
Blackburn had money at that point. They won.
They didn't start it for, did they?
No, they were there. I mean, they won it pretty quickly.
95, I remember it.
And except for Leicester, there's been nothing else. It's just always the same teams. And everybody's like, oh, Arsenal on top of the league. And well, I remember Arsenal being undefeated one year, so and winning the league.
Yeah.
So yeah. But Italian football was certainly a lot more interesting.
Well, for me, when I was younger, like I said, this is where I got to see Zidane. And Ronaldo was like the biggest thing when I was a bit.
He ended up the biggest thing.
He was like,
Yeah, big old Ronaldo. That Ronaldo, he was the better Ronaldo.
oh yeah, by far. I used to watch him on Channel 4 and Inter ripping it up, like that first World Cup in '98. Do you remember we swallowed his tongue or whatever it was? He had a fit. That team when they come out without him and everything.
That was it. Yeah, that's what. Yeah,
He was a force, man.
Something really strange with that.
Watching the goals as well, I always remember he done. Ronaldinho was known for it now. You know when he knocks it with his foot and then knocks it back. Like everybody remembers Ronaldinho doing that. Ronaldo was the first boy I ever seen doing that. He used to just like nick it past people all the time. And obviously Zidane, he was in that league. Del Piero, like the Inzaghi's and stuff. Yeah, it was just proper nostalgia watching that football. And all the strips. Well, we didn't have them on display, but all the strips that went with it. Like the Inter strip, that was a Nike strip. I would probably say was quite a cool one.
Yeah,
with the tyre company. What's that tyre company again?
Pirelli.
Yeah.
No, not Pirelli was like it was for years. So it was,
Yeah, they had that for years. I remember the Roma strip at that time was a Kappa strip, which obviously went on to go on like very similar to the Italy strip. And
yeah, the tight one. Yeah, the
2000
combat strip. Yeah.
Yeah.
Also the Inter strip with Ferrucci.
Oh, yeah,
how iconic is that?
I was wearing that last week.
Yeah, the white one.
That was 92.
Yeah,
92, I think.
but 92, 93, yeah. But Ferrucci, I mean, how iconic is that?
Yeah, really cool. You're not really going to get. Yeah, we speak about this a lot, but like I think the football strips are missing soul like that. Like these, like Ferrucci strips only happened once, but how cool was that for a football strip?
I know,
especially the pattern to go with as well. And yeah, as an Inter strip, I think it's proper. Up
there was another kit. Was it Sienna Pop 84?
I've never seen Pop 84 in a kit.
Pop 84, yeah, unbelievable. And I mean, I had a shirt Pop 84. I'm sure I had jeans Pop 84, and I've got newer stuff as well.
I would have loved to have seen some Italian kit with Best Company or something on it for the 80s. That would have been a grill by far. Using all these Italian companies. Well, not even mentioned like the Panorama or nothing. Not even mentioned anything like that. That was kicking off in the 80s.
But there's where all the clothes, the iconic clothes come. I mean, all Italian. I mean, all the Best Company stuff and
well, that subculture was heavily like sort of dirt bikes and big Italian labels. But I've seen photos where like they were wearing Henry Lloyd and everything.
Yeah.
There was so many like different labels there, like obviously Valentino, Stone Island, Best Company.
A lot of stripes.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's mullets. There seem to be some mullets, heavy shades. They're listening to heavily 80s English, like pop music.
Yep. A lot of electro. Yeah, a lot of disco. A lot of everything like that, you know.
Did you see any of them when you were ever over in Italy? No.
I went to a club, and I'd started in the rave scene. Had just came in sort of 87, 88. So went across. So I kind of just got into it.
So when you say rave scene, this is like Italian's version of acid house, or?
Yeah, well, I was in. Well, the dance scene had started in obviously 87, 89, and I'd got into it maybe I think about 89, 90. So. And I'd started I'd went to a couple of raves and distills in Dundee, and went to the World Cup. And not unknown to me, the Italians down that coast where we were staying, Lido di Jesolo, Rimini, all these places had unbelievable discotheques built, 70s and that. Unbelievable.
For our younger viewers, what do you mean as discotheque?
Well, an actual club. A club. But they would have called it discotheques at that time, and they built them, and they were like space age buildings. And I went to one in Lido di Jesolo, and it was everything you see now was the first time I'd seen it. It was like we were queued up.
Is this what you told me about the rave trains and stuff?
Well, it did. What happened was, there was a lot of talk. They were driving up and down, going to these clubs, the raves, on Saturdays, and the roads down that coast aren't very good. So there was a lot of people getting killed in car crashes and stuff. So they started rave trains, and so they would start in big cities. People would pile on, and they would actually have raves on the train to go down, get off the train, go to the rave, come back the next day. So they were doing all that kind of stuff, and I went to one of the clubs, and it was the first time I'd ever seen proper door bitches choosing people whether you were getting in or not. You think before 89, there was clubs in Dundee, discos as they would call them.
But they didn't finish late, did they?
No, and you had to dress. I mean, that's what I hated it. I was kind of at the end of that, and it was like dress trousers and shirts. And
I wasn't that bad, but we weren't getting in with trainers when I was younger. They just used that as an excuse not to get in. But you had to wear shitty shoes to get wallabies.
Oh yeah. But I mean, it was when I started going, Buddies in the Ferry and Fatties and all these, and the Barracuda and all these places in Dundee. Barracuda. There was you had to wear horrible woolen trousers and shirts and jackets and stuff, and it was the rave scene killed that very quickly. Within a year, the rave scene, you were trainers, jeans, smart tops. It was all smart clothes, but it was like you were still, I mean, at that point you had trainers, or we were wearing trainers that were worth more than the suits that these people were wearing. That really annoyed me. And then it changed, and we were able to go in with that. So when I went across to Italy, everybody was like, it was like every kind of person was in that queue, and the door bitches were picking them, and we got chosen, and I thought, we're going to get in, and they took us right to the front. I remember having the Best Company t-shirt on, and a pair of shorts, and getting led up to the front and getting into this club, and it was the first time I'd seen unisex toilets, and the first time I'd seen different things in a club. I'd never seen before, but the Italians were famous for these places. Amazing.
Was this when the World Cup was on?
This was when the World Cup was on, yeah. Absolutely brilliant. I mean, just you were seeing things you didn't. You like a door bitch picking who's. Didn't know if you're going into Buddies in the Ferry. You got in because they were just wanting your money. That you were getting chosen there, whether you're going in or not, and which it goes on now. Go to Germany, that happens all the time. You could queue up for 4 hours to go in the club, and they didn't let you in.
What club was that?
The Berghain in Berlin.
What do you want to go there for?
Berghain's got a great techno club. Berghain's got a techno club, but it's got I think your previous guest was. I think he goes there.
Many a story for Cammy about that place.
But there's different areas. There's different areas in that club you probably don't want to go in.
No, you don't see any football strips in the Berghain. Did you see them in your discotheques?
No, but back in Scotland, and the rave when the big raves were on, the big slam raves that were in Glasgow and stuff, you saw loads of Italian football strips. I used to wear an Inter Milan away one. And if you see any of the videos now, you see all these strips and you're thinking, they're worth a fortune and they'll be wrecked.
What do you think is the dearest one here?
Dearest one there is the Fiorentina swastika match worn.
And how much would that be worth?
Well, I paid 220 for it, and I think it would have to be in £1,000 upwards. And I think if it got in a bidding war, I don't know what it would go to, because I think it's one of the, as you said, one of the rarest strips of all time.
I think there's only, somebody mentioned to me there's like 4 or 5.
I think there's only 4 of them left because they were all destroyed. The replicas, you see them coming up, but they come up for a few hundred as well.
We can see the difference. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know if the camera will pick it up, but the replica is really darker, is it? It's
Yeah.
a lighter sort of purple in there.
Yeah.
This is like heavy dark. As you said, it's a printed badge.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't look too bad, but you can obviously see the indented print of the
Yeah.
the lotto badge, whereas you don't see it on this.
But they're worth, I mean, the two of them are very, very rare. I mean, I think they destroyed...
So even the
Yeah.
replica's rare.
Yeah, they destroyed them all. They destroyed most of them. And that one's Michael Laudrup's, that one there. Yeah, so it was a nice shirt to have.
I think we'll wrap it up there. We'll be talking about sponsors and kits all night. So any last words, Steve?
I just hope everybody's liked the shirts that's been on display. There'll be more coming up in the next few weeks. But the last thing I say is remember and like and subscribe and ring the bell.
Ring the bell. This has been the Dundee Sole podcast. We will be back next week with our guest. Until then, I hope you enjoy your week. Have a good one.